Block out your calendar, bring your team, and lock in your spot because Insights EDU early bird pricing ends December 15th. We'll see you in Fort Lauderdale, February 17th to the 19th, 2026, for 3 days that will disrupt what you think you know about marketing and enrollment for today's modern learner. Support the EdUp experience for just $5.99 a month and lock in that rate for life. You'll get ad-free early access to episodes. But hurry, price goes up after December 31st, 2025. Visit edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and click support the show.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio broadcasting another episode, but not from my basement this time, not in front of my soundboard. I'm sorry to say that I'm in Cancun, Mexico. I am at our Latin America and Caribbean user conference, which by this time you hear this episode, I'll be back in my basement, but I'm not there right now, which means I don't have any of my actual equipment with me. But this episode was so important. I packed one microphone. I left the soundboard behind, but I came down here and I said, this episode will happen. And it's because my guest co-host asked me about 50 times if it was going to happen. Joe, we're going to do this. Joe, we're going to do this. Joe, we're going to do this. I said, I can't disappoint my guest co-host because she is one of my favorite people in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Christy Siegel, Vice President of all things. I don't even know your title, Christy. I get it wrong every time I try to say it now. So tell us, because you recently got a uplift, if you will.
I did. It's new. It's managed services and executive business development.
Congratulations on your long overdue recognition.
Thank you.
And we've got a guest here that we both know, but you know very well. So when we were going to do this podcast episode, you said, I got to be on this one. I got to be on this one because I got a lot of questions for her. I'm going to corner her. I'm going to ask her the real hot button issue questions. I said, well, let's do that. No, we wouldn't do that. We want to celebrate our colleagues across higher education and give some vision to the work that they're doing on a daily basis, to put your ears on these things, if you will, and maybe your eyes too. And so here with us today, we have the one and only. And when I say one and only, I mean it. Dr. Kim Beatty. She is Chancellor at Metropolitan Community College. Kim, welcome to EdUp Mike. How are you?
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for thinking of me. And hello to everybody. I hope I have something that will uplift in this EdUp episode and contribute to the diaspora that we have going on here.
Well, I said at the beginning, we only produce the audio, not the video. But as you can see very clearly, I gave up my lounge chair at the pool. I came right over here in my swim trunks, just how important this episode was. I'm not I'm wearing a button down at this conference, if you will. But level set for us, Kim, tell us about Metropolitan Community College. Where are you? Who do you serve? And how do you serve them?
Well, Metropolitan Community College is in Kansas City, and we are a regional community college because we have the rural, we have the suburban, and we have the urban student. We have 5 campuses across the Kansas City region on the Missouri side, and we serve, last we counted, about 18,000 students across those 5 campuses. We have about 120 programs that we offer, whether that's certificates and degrees. Recently, we just were approved to offer a degree, a bachelor's degree. I know that's a topic that has flown across higher ed, and many other states are doing them at a much higher rate, but we are just getting into that space. And so we're excited about that. So we got a lot of things going on here, getting ready for our decennial visit in October. So we're not scrambling, but coming down the final stretch of that, and just excited to tell our story and celebrate all the great things that are happening, progress that we've had in the last 8 years that I've been here. But of course, the decennial is 10 years. So I guess we'll include those other 2.
Well, let's jump into that bachelor thing since you brought it up, because we are seeing that more across the industry. Community colleges offer bachelor's degrees, which I think makes a lot of sense if you actually know about retention. If you study the models of retention, when you have a student complete a 2-year and they move to complete that 4-year, it's like starting over again. New environment, new questions of belonging, got to get to classes in new spaces, got to meet new people, got to do all these things over again. And that can be overwhelming to a student at any point, let alone having completed it and starting again. I think that community colleges will have great success moving students to a bachelor's degree because they're already in the cadence. They already kind of know where to go. They already know this faculty. They already know who's going to be involved with them. What do you think about that, Kim? Do you think that's going to be a good result of being able to offer a bachelor's degree?
Well, yes, I think that is a good result. And for us, we got into it for different reasons. I was in Texas when they started offering those and have heard a lot about Florida and why they started offering those degrees. Missouri is a little different in terms of how you travel this road to get a bachelor's degree. So for us, it was a gap. There's a gap in what is offered. Respiratory care is a very expensive program. But of course, and we started on this path before COVID, but of course, since COVID, there was such a need for the respiratory care industry. And then their accreditor, COARC, no, maybe that's not the right accreditor, but anyway, their accreditor was moving toward technicians that were coming out of programs had to have bachelor degrees. So that's really what put us on this road that we've traveled. And in Missouri, in order for us to offer a bachelor's degree, no other university has to be offering it or have a desire to do so. You got to get the universities to sign off on it. And as you can imagine, especially in this enrollment climate, that's not an easy feat. But we were able to do so because most don't want to start and open that program. And for us, we're always about what does our community need? And that is a key aspect of our mission. And getting people into jobs is a part of our, preparing students. That's a part of our job, creating opportunities, preparing students, and serving our communities. So this was, for us, was sparked out of those three aspects of our mission and trying to fill this gap. As a part of that accreditation journey, what we learned is that the accreditor, and I think it was actually HLC when they came, since they have not, that third-party accreditor has not really, they've reversed or retracted. I don't want to say they've reversed. They're not requiring that bachelor's degree just yet. So in addition, back to come full circle to your comments, what HLC suggested for us is to create some type of milestone credential. So, and our advisor, our community members in hospitals, because they need people, quick. And so having some type of milestone credential that is equivalent to an associate's degree so that they can either go to work and come back and or have a credential for people who just need to come back to get the training specific to respiratory care. So our journey is a little different in every state. How it happens is different. And knowing what I know about Texas and Florida in terms of how they got started, just because of my familiarity with those states and the colleagues I have in those states, I think this was a little different is really just because of the need. I don't think we don't have a burning desire to expand our mission in a way that we would start offering bachelor degrees. That's not something I see us, jumping at the chance to do. I know in Texas and I believe in Florida, part of it was the universities in terms of the classes that those lower level classes that they may not have the capacity or want to offer, it created a space to move in that direction. For us, it's just a demand. Now, should something like that happen again, we would do that. But by creating those milestone degrees, either for those reverse transfer or those that are moving into it, the retention piece is we're yet to see the data, of course, because we're just getting started. But I have two other colleagues in the state that are offering the bachelor's degree, and we're already offering the associate's degree. And I'm sure they're seeing positive, based upon our conversations, positive results. So I think it's more about, and not to diminish the bachelor degree piece, but I think anytime that you can connect the academic journey and the credential that a student is going to earn to the dollars that they're going to get when they graduate, you're going to uh, incentivize those students to stay in school, because many of the students that we serve, they have to work. They need work to support their families. And what we're trying to do is put students on a pathway so that it's not just getting a job, but it's getting a career, it's getting a livable wage, and it's putting them on a path of prosperity. And so in this case, a bachelor's degree in respiratory care accomplishes that. But we obviously, that's been a part of our mission and what we do for a long time. And that has helped us to have some success.
Yeah, it's great. And Christy, I'm going to give it to you and give you the mic in a second. One just made me think operationally too, for a lot of people that think, oh, you can just go start a bachelor's degree with this program, despite the state regulations and everything else. It's one of the most important things to remember when you start a program like that is there's a lot of students that come in with transfer credit. And so you're starting with upper division courses. You have to hire different kinds of faculty. It's not like everybody takes everything in order. It's a huge business model shift. So I just want to call that out to the audience. Say it's not always as easy as it sounds either.
Yeah.
It took us 5 years. It took us longer because of COVID. So add 2 to that.
Yeah.
Well, in light of that, what are, in addition to the respiratory program, and because I've spent a lot of time with Metropolitan in the last few years, the growth in Kansas City and the metropolitan area has been explosive, with industry, with people, with education. What are some of the other programs that you're most popular, or the ones that you're really advising students for those credentialing and or degree?
Still at the what I think is about the national average for community colleges. We're still for the average community college, we're still at about 70% of our students are still transfer students. And the rest of the students are workforce certificate type of students that are going into the workforce. What I would say is we're living in a time where the value of higher education has come into question. And it's come into question in response to this exodus, this mass exodus that I think this is the Kim Beatty theory. Are you ready? That
Ready.
COVID sped up the cliff. And we see the cliff that you hear about is the cliff where you're going to see a drop in enrollment because of the less people born in the day 18 years ago. But what I saw had happened in Kansas City, and I think it happened in a lot of cities, it sped up the baby boomers exiting. You had a big exodus of people leaving the workforce and leaving jobs that are high need, high demand, whether that's manufacturing, whether that is welders. And all of those the folks that climb the telephone poles and get into the electrical work. And those are not jobs where people are sitting saying, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a welder, or I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be an electrical line worker, unless you're in a family where they have that type of history. That's not something that people just grow up and say, that's what I'm going to do. So you had a moment in time where you had all these people leave, and there was this big gap in the workforce. And so what we were doing at the same time, I don't know, it must have been the vision of the smart chancellor they hired, but what we were doing at the same time were creating and improving upon facilities that would foster those workforce programs, and creating equitable access and placing them on the bus line so that people could get access to those programs and get in and get jobs. So I'm not sure I answered your question, but in Kansas City, what we've experienced is that shift. And so we're starting to see those programs grow and waiting lists. And so, healthcare has always been, the program that we target. We've got 18 health science programs that, occupational, and it's really surge tech, occupational therapy, those other programs, not nursing. Nursing is in demand, but you could have a nursing program on every corner and you're still not going to fill the demand because a lot of those people left too. So we've been focused on transfer as well. That's, as I mentioned, that's why we have those pathways that we've developed. But we've also been focused on developing our brand and awareness on these other programs that will put people into jobs right away. I had a liberal arts education, and I still think a liberal arts education is valuable. In fact, I know it is. And we have students that are transferring and highly successful and more prepared than those that are initially placed, whether it's at UMKC or Park. I've seen their data. But I would say that Kansas City is exploding right now in terms of population, in terms of popularity, in terms of a lot of great things happening. But that workforce, I mean, it was an immediate shock to the system that I'm happy that we've been able to contribute to in a very positive way.
Yeah, that that of course leads me to, and this is more Joe's area, but I think it's all of our areas in workforce development and in program development and in just general the institution itself. Where do you see AI playing the role that we are seeing it explode across higher education?
Well, I mean, there's three, I think I would say three facets of it now. I have to try and remember it. I mean, obviously it's offering the program of AI, but then it's the how there's a repair aspect of machinery that's associated with AI. So we're working on developing a certificate on that. And there's a third area. You're catching me there, but we're trying to prepare, first do our internal work and educate ourselves and understand how we can positively use AI in the classroom or in the work that we do to make our work a little bit more efficient, whether that's letting AI take the minutes for a meeting so that you don't necessarily have to type up the minutes, or using an AI in other work operations. So we're developing, I think it's 2 certificates to support AI. We're learning a lot about AI. Dr. Meyer is our internal guru and has developed a task force for us to think about how we want to, and the faculty and all of the constituents of the college, quite frankly, want to and can think of how they can have positive outcomes with AI, and also being aware of the negative things that can result. You know, it's a scary aspect when you start to think about the work. I mean, you know, you can look at it that there's a lot of aspects of AI that scare people to think that my job is going away. But what people don't remember, it's funny I use that word, is that AI doesn't think. So you still have to have the critical thinking behind it. And as long as you're doing that in your job, then you're going to be good. But it's a tool. It's not the end all be all, at least not yet.
You know what, which the hard, I think the hard part for administrators that you have to deal with is, you know, it's not like we make widgets and we're just worried about artificial intelligence for business operations. We have to worry about artificial intelligence for teaching and learning. And then we have to, or simultaneously have to think about artificial intelligence for the business and how to optimize, save time, so on. And then have to worry about how the stakeholder is using AI, right? So there's multiple ways that we have to consider it. It's not just one way where we want to make more efficient widgets. We have to worry about how, because teaching and learning artificial intelligence and driving business efficiency are two completely different things, completely different. We conflate them a lot when we talk about AI. AI for higher education. AI we need more AI in higher ed. And somebody goes, what do you mean exactly? Are we talking about, AI avatars in the classroom to repeat PDFs? Are we talking about looking at artificial intelligence in our current technology stack to find out how we can move data around and get better insights? They're two completely different questions. How do you contend with that? Because in either one of those scenarios, you have immediate pushback, right? Inertia likes to rear its negative inertia rears its ugly head all the time. You've got adoption cycles. You've got faculty that are worried that, like you said, or faculty or staff that feel like the only thing that's going to happen if they accept AI is they're going to be out of a job. That's the first thing we think about.
Mm-hmm.
And then we like to give all the reasons why we would not be backing the change, but the only thing we really care about is if I have a job tomorrow. That's a lot that you have to deal with. And then you add in 3 campuses and 18,000 students. I mean, I just wanted to outline the problem, I guess, that you're dealing with.
Yeah, you did. You did a really good outline of it. And what we have to do culturally is do that work internally so that people don't fear it. And I'm in that bucket. That we've got to get trained to utilize it in a way that can positively enhance the efficiency of our work, which is one thing. And then how we can prepare our students in the teaching and learning environment. I mean, because they're actually coming to us with this. So
Right.
we've got to get ourselves prepared in that way.
Yeah, Christy's an AI program right now.
I'm in an AI program. Yes.
Yeah. Fed you all the
Well,
questions to ask and everything.
no, it makes, governance, AI governance at the institutional level is where,
Mhm.
a lot of the conversations are going because of those very aspects. You've got the academic and you've got the administrative, and then you've got the just, ethical impact of AI and how you're using it and how all three of those things are interlocking. So watching the governance structure evolve, even Joe, since we started out this year back in February when we were at that boot camp in California and talking about ethical AI to now, it's just been massive in terms of what's been written about it. And I don't even know how any of us keep up without using AI to just keep up on AI itself. But in addition to just being the chancellor of Metropolitan and doing all that you're doing for your students, Kim is also very much involved in the professional development of her peers,
Yes.
specifically those aspiring administrators who are looking to be or go after their first presidency. Can you speak a little bit to, your work with the President's Roundtable and the Lakin Institute? Because I know it, but I don't even know if Joe knows it as well as you and I do, and really, let our listeners understand it as well.
If you're afraid of success, this message isn't for you. Every year, higher ed talks about change. But Insights EDU 2026, it's the catalyst. The Modern Learner Report drops here first, revealing how learners are thinking, searching, and deciding right now. Spoiler, most institutions aren't keeping up. 3 days on the beach in Fort Lauderdale, February 17th to the 19th, 2026. Over 65 powerhouse speakers. Real strategy, real data. Only built for leaders ready to own their transformation. Reserve your spot now at insightsedu.com. Early bird pricing ends December 15th. The EdUp experience has delivered over 1,000 episodes with higher ed leaders from around the world. Now you can support the show for just $5.99 a month and lock in that rate for life when you join before December 31st, 2025. You'll enjoy ad-free early access to episodes. Go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com. Click support the show and secure your lifetime rate today.
Well, the President's Roundtable was born out of the need to have a roundtable or a collaborative of presidents that were African American presidents at a time when there weren't a lot of African American presidents. And so the President's Roundtable is designed to create a network of presidents to address issues that emerge as a result of that sometimes, unfortunately, historically in this country, that have been targeted. I mean, it's just as simple as that. Since its beginning, it has evolved as an advocacy organization, as a professional development organization, as an organization that focuses on developing students and creating leadership opportunities through the Men of Courage Student Leadership Institute, and giving them an experience and exposure that will better prepare students for success later on. So that's the President's Roundtable. The President's Roundtable has a professional development arm, and I'm proud to serve as the dean of the Lakin Institute, which emerged initially to better resource and prepare rising CEOs for the job. So the curriculum has 3 components. It's preparing for the presidency, getting the presidency, and then sustaining the presidency. So we do like the first 90 days, and people are there for a week. We travel around the country and host the Institute in different areas of the country. This year it's in Detroit, October 5th to the 11th. And we have partners that come in and talk about technology, AI. Christy will be there to talk about AI. We have R.H. Perry that comes in and actually walks them through how to do the resume. What do you expect in an interview? I mean, it's a whole day just focused on that information. So it's a great experience. They develop a cohort of friends that they typically keep forever. And they walk away with a toolkit on we give them sample letters of application. And we are very honest with them about the role. And some people leave saying, I don't think I want to do that. Some people are better prepared for it. And, it gives me the organization as a result of the Institute I think the last piece of data I saw was a 92% placement rate of presidents in the country. We now are broadening our scope. And so anybody that is seeking, and this is, you're currently reporting to the CEO and you are what we call a rising president and in the place where that's your next step. We welcome you and look forward to the opportunity. Next year is in Kansas City, so I'll be hosting it next year. But it's always one of the highlights of October every year. We do it every year in October in a different place.
It's probably one of the most, because I've gotten the pleasure and the opportunity to experience it for a couple of years as a sponsor, one of the most in-depth professional development activities I've ever seen for exactly what you're talking about of a vice president level looking at the next step and determining, is this the path I want to go down or not? And this is all the reality about getting a presidency, getting to that first step, and then sustaining a presidency, and dealing with all of that. It's phenomenal, Kim, and I think you guys have done, and just in what I've seen in the last few years, it gets better and better each year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kim, along with that, are you seeing, look, you're heading into your 9th year, I think, at
yes,
as president.
unbelievable.
Got straight staying power that that's not that is not the average. You're above average, Kim. So many ways. What a compliment I give. No, but seriously, you're 10 years above average. It's like 4 years and change. For a while there, with the amount of pressure presidents were seeing, there was a real question on pipeline. Like, does anybody even want to do this job anymore? Have you seen a resurgence? Is there hesitancy among people who are they exploring the presidency from your view and what you're doing with the Lincoln Institute? Is there hesitancy or is there just voracious, I want to be a college president?
No, I think it's a little bit of both. But as I was describing earlier, when we were talking about workforce, we saw the same thing in leadership in community colleges. I mean, every time I turn around, I'm seeing a vacancy posting out. Not that I'm looking, they come to my email, of course, but see a vacancy in California. And of course, they have 120 community colleges out there. So people I think leaders, COVID really fried a lot of people, especially the CEOs. There were some really tough decisions that had to be made. And now what we're dealing with is a lot different than you were dealing with 7 years ago. You've got the mental health issues that you're dealing with. You've got a crisis management. I mean, if I see another shooting on TV, it's just, so you have to be prepared for so much more and so differently. So I would probably say there's less people running to it until they go through something like this. And then you get a little bit measured. It's not that you don't want it, but you get to see really all the aspects of it. But I think, there were so many retirements, and the data, as you say, shows 4 to 6 years is the average anyway on a good day. And then you had so many people that were those baby boomers that could retire. And I just think COVID fried them. And then you do have some people that are coming in that may not be as prepared for all of that. I mean, boards are a lot different now. Politics, the infusion of local, national, state politics and the work that we're doing and the decisions that we have to make. I was just sent an email to one of our presidents because a faculty member saw how a faculty somewhere was fired because of their class on diversity, and they're worried, that we are in Missouri. Am I going to get fired if I start using the word diversity? And so things are so different, and the preparation for the role that I fortunately or unfortunately had to learn on the job as we are going because the change has happened so dramatically in the last 7 years. So that was a very long answer to, I think people aspire to be a president, but they don't always understand what it means to be a president or a CEO. And I'm really happy to be in a place, in a space where, whether it's through Lakin or through my own mentoring relationships, I'm able to share wisdom and the discernment with some folks on how to move forward so that they do it when they're ready. It looks nice to be a president. I mean, it's great. It's a great title, or chancellor, or whatever the title is. But I tell you, you'll get pinched real quick. And I'm knocking all the time because it just, any day, you just never know. You just never know. Because, I mean, the politics and I have a great board. I'm lucky in that case. There's some really interesting things happening out there.
There are.
Yeah. Go ahead, Christy.
No, it just made me think of the upcoming fall season with conferences, and we're going to be together soon with ACCT, which is
You
trustee.
guys see both of us together, Ken?
I know,
I'm
in real
wondering.
life, all of us, the three of us. But I mean, it's just, I think it'll probably be about the 18th year that I've been to ACCT, and just watching, you just said it, the change in boards, board
Mhm.
makeup was, I mean, I hate to say it, but it was always kind of like, okay, it's the retirees, it's the people that have time to serve on the board or go run for the board or et cetera. And
Mhm.
it is a very different mix than when I
Mhm.
first started out in community colleges. So I can't even imagine balancing just board relationships and then your board faculty community political relationships from
Yeah.
that vantage point, which is
Yeah.
probably why I'm not a college president, and I'm very fine with that. But I love watching how this develops and unfolds because it continually changes. And when you say political, and my background in grant writing, when I saw the announcement come out yesterday, of course the Department of Ed was going to end any discretionary grant that looks like it's being to one race or another, or diversity, et cetera. It's like, that's every grant I ever wrote. That's all, first generation low income students.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
ethnically
We lost our trio grant. We'd had it for 20 years.
exactly.
Mhm.
It just I mean, that's still the population to serve for the majority of community colleges, for the majority of a lot of colleges is first gen low income. I don't know how we are going to do it without some of those programs. I guess we go after the private foundations. I don't know. What do you think, Kim?
Well, it's what I'm choosing to make lemons. Wait a minute. What is it? Lemonade.
Lemonade.
So Trio, for example, that was a program that obviously targeted first generation students, low income students. But the practices that they did in those programs are, the activities out of that program were very successful from a retention and success standpoint. So what we've done is created an Office of Institutional Impact where we can adopt those same things. And our vision is to serve all. So let's go ahead. We know what works. We know it works. So let's package that in a way where we can serve all students and make what makes sense, those activities available for all students. So I think, it's not a great situation in terms of how we got here. But I do believe that there's some wins that we can create out of this situation in broadening the impact that we have with those services that have historically only targeted a certain population. Did that need to happen? Absolutely. I mean, there have been inequities in our country, in our history for years. But we are where we are. It is what it is. And if we can, what can we pluck from what we know works and apply it to all students? They have a choice that it's open to all students. You have a choice if you want to take advantage of these certain activities that we know are successful retention activities.
Absolutely.
Kim, one of the things that's come up recently, we've always had to deal with it on higher ed campuses. There's this disruption. You talked about that faculty member that saw somebody else get somebody else's class get eliminated and is wondering, what about me? There's this outside noise, and Christy kind of talked about it too. The political noise, state, federal, safety concerns on campus that we've seen just very, very recently. It's like, gosh, darn it, these things it's got to stop happening on college campuses, no matter what it is. And I've asked this to presidents before. It's just a fascinating question and answer, I think. But how do you filter out that noise? Because I guess maybe that's the wrong question, but do you try to filter out all of that noise so that your staff and students stay focused, your staff and faculty stay focused on the student and not necessarily on the external environment factors that are affecting them? Because I think it's very easy to lose focus with all that stuff hitting you. And all of a sudden the student's over here going, hello, I'm leaving, and nobody's talked to me.
Yeah. When you're in my seat, the noise comes in from a lot of different directions too. The example that I use, I have the challenge of maintaining internally, the fear or the culture internally and providing assurance to folks internally. And that's just not easy, especially in this day and time. I can tune out the noise. I can sit there and shake my head, pivot, come up with a plan, and go and apply it. But that's why I'm in the seat.
That's
Everybody doesn't have that skill set, and nor is there an expectation that they would. So it is. I think the benefit for me personally is I am really plugged in my city and in my state. And so it creates an opportunity for me to be at the table and hear all sides of it. I was just at dinner with somebody last night. We've got a stadium issue that we're dealing with here in Kansas City, and their perspective was one. And I said, well, here's another perspective. And so I'm able to filter it out because I've kind of heard all sides of whatever might be happening locally. Now, I'm not plugged in nationally except with AACC, ACCT, and our national organizations, which do a good job in helping us. So I'm Margie Lewis, my president in California at Cypress College. I left California in 2006, and I was going to be a dean. It was my first administrative job, and I was excited. And I said, Margie, so she took me to lunch, and I said, Margie, so what advice do you suggest? And I've never forgotten this. She said, Kim, you have to have skin like concrete.
Oh, come on, Margie. I like it.
She said, you have to have skin like concrete. She said, otherwise you will not make it. So I've got that concrete barrier around me all the time. As soon as I come into work, I've actually on my desk, I've got, I'm not in my office, it's under construction, but I've got a man with a shield, and, I've got all kinds of symbols around me so that I can maintain that reality of skin like concrete. And that allows me to be able to focus on those I have to lead, those who depend on me, and try to diminish the fears that they have. But it's not easy.
You just made me. I'm pulling out my mascot. I don't know if you can see him. He's Gumby.
It's
Okay.
Gumby. Yeah.
Gumby's been on my desk for, I don't know, for 20 years, probably since I started my career in ed tech after leaving higher ed formally, because I was always bending, right, to everything that was coming my way and whatever teams I was on. And they were like, you're Gumby, but I need Gumby with a shield sometimes. I think I need Gumby with
Right.
that cement, uh, you know, protector, because it's not,
Mhm.
it's hard to always bend and be flexible for whatever you're being called upon to do, and yet still have that protection around you that you just don't take it personally and you just don't let it.
Mhm.
Because if we let it all affect us, none of us would be waking up.
Well, that brings up the question, because I've heard that, not exactly that, but the tough skin metaphor before.
Mhm.
Do you start out as concrete? Did you walk in as maybe leather? that turned into concrete? You know, at what point did you go, you know what? Now I'm set. I'm blocking everything out. Did it take a couple years? Did you have administration change before you hit that? Was it a part of a growth experience, or did you just walk in going, I'm taking strays are bouncing off me?
All right. As I reflect back on my career, it has prepared me. Each place I've served has prepared me for the next thing. So that's what gets me excited about, you know, what's next for me after I retire from here, because of the things that I can think of that have made me stronger and better here. So it's really probably more situational. I mean, I'd be lying if I said this stuff doesn't ever get to me, but it doesn't get to me long. Somebody says something, did I take it personally? Yeah, I might have taken it personally, but I can dust myself off and pull myself up by my bootstraps a little better. So when I left California and went into the dean's job as the first Black woman to ever hold that job, and the youngest, so I was probably 30 something or other, 32 or something like that. Yeah, 30. I was in my 30s. And all my faculty were older than I was. It was the oldest campus in the district. It was the Portsmouth campus. And they looked at me like, who you think you coming in here to lead? And when I tell you, they tested me. But by the time I left there, I had a good run. I left there everywhere I've worked. I've left on a high note, but there have been at everywhere I've worked some real daggers that, it's like a diamond. You get pricked and you get pricked and you get pricked, but in the end, they shine it off. I mean, you polish it off and it shines. So, I'm good. And I think that the experiences only I guess I'm a glass half full type person, that all of these things that I go through are only going to make me better. And that, as I reflect on my career, that is the case. So I would say the skin, and that's why, people try to run a little game, and I'm like, yeah, been there, done that. So I'm not perfect by any means, but always learning.
Always learning. And despite being the fabulous chancellor that you are, or in addition to Joe, you don't even know that she can sing like nobody's business, because I have
Get out of here. Here's some of that right now.
I know.
Live on.
Oh,
Okay.
I've heard her sing, and she can add dancing now to her repertoire because she's been dancing with the stars, Kansas City style, for fundraising for the
That
institute.
was actually one of the high points since I've been here. I mean, we've done some really great work here at Kansas City, but that partnership with Crystal Ray, I mean, today we've got students here from Crystal Ray. They're working, and that's part of their model, where they have students go into businesses and get the work experience. And there's a fee attached to that, but that's scholarships to students, and those are students that are low-income students that have a parochial education, and they host this Dancing with the Stars thing. So I was first runner-up.
You were.
It brings up the very important question that everybody needs to know, and that is, have you ever sang out directions to staff? Have you ever given them direction by song?
I have not given direction by song, but I have sang with my staff or with the team. In fact, that song, There's a Hero. And I was trying to get the team, as we are transitioning to an ERP, to let them know that they were a hero. And so I had the words up on the screen. I got off beat a little bit, but I had the words up on the screen, and we all had our phones lit up, and it was because they're the hero. But I mean, it's a challenge to try and do my Mariah Carey at any point.
No doubt about that. Well, we want to respect your time. We give the last couple of questions to every guest. Number one, what else do you want to say about MCC that maybe hasn't come up? Anything top of mind, new program? You mentioned bachelor's degree, but anything else you can think of? Really no direction other than what else should we know?
I think what I would say about MCC, as you said, I'm in my 9th year, and it has been a journey. And it's a journey that makes me stick my chest out every year that goes by, because we have accomplished so much together. I had a faculty member, a division chair, say it best at our last governance meeting, that when we get into a tough situation, what I love about MCC is they rise up, they come together. We have some difficult things that we're working through, and they're coming together and they're working through it.
Right.
And that doesn't happen everywhere. You can have folks that say, I'm coming to work, I'm doing my job, and I'm leaving. Deuces, I'm out. But they, this is a great place and can be a great place for everyone. So that's what I would say about MCC.
All right. Now tell us what. Sorry, I had, as I said, I'm in Cancun, so they're pounding on the door to come and clean my room, which is
Oh yeah,
immaculate
just the
anyway
tough
now.
duty, tough duty, tough duty.
But what?
Well,
Tell us, leave us with what you see for the future of higher ed, Kim.
Well, I think this AI thing, we've got to figure out how. I mean, I go into a fast food restaurant now, and you've got the panels where you're pushing the button. Do I want a hamburger? Do I want this? And I'm thinking, how is this going to translate for people who are growing? I mean, my grandkids, if I said, let's go and here's a dial up phone, or let's get some popcorn and actually pop it in a pan. I mean, these thinking of how you accomplish your goal and how quick people want it, we've got to be prepared for that. And that's kind of what I think we need to think about in terms of the future, how we can not compromise the rigor, not compromise the services, but provide them in a way that students who are growing up in this era that we may not have grown up in. I'm still a card catalog, remembering a card catalog type of person, and how we can do that and learn, be lifelong learners so that we can support the students that we have today that are not growing up in that same era. So I'm excited about I'm on my, as my pastor used to say, I'm on my anticipatory tiptoes of how we accomplish that milestone.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. When somebody gives us the title of the episode, Anticipatory Tiptoes is going to probably end up being the title of this episode. Christy, what'd you think of this conversation?
I love it. I could talk with this lady all day long. So, Kim, thank you again for spending an hour with us and sharing your insights, but also sharing MCC's journey and your journey with them for the last 9 years. Really appreciate it.
I just got a text of a video that my grandson crawled today.
Congratulations.
And before we couldn't get videos, like, 20 years ago, there was no immediate video of the grandson crawling. And now it's instantaneous, right?
Instant. Well,
Yeah.
let's not start a whole nother conversation because we can.
Well, my
Thanks for
co-host.
having me.
Well, let me just outro you appropriately. Christy Siegel, Vice President of Managed Services and Executive Business Development at Ellucian. I didn't even say the name at the beginning, Ellucian. We got to get that in there. Of course, they power the President Series. And our guest, our esteemed guest, who is not only going to complete her 9th year as being college president, but is giving back to the community by helping train other aspiring college presidents, which is a great service. And you better be lucky if you could spend some time with the one and only Dr. Kim Beatty. She's Chancellor at Metropolitan Community College. Kim, when I have my soundboard, there's applause that goes off. So, we'll have to do it this way.
Yeah.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen,
If you're afraid of success, go ahead and tune out because this segment is not for you. Every year, Higher Ed talks about change, but Insights EDU 2026, that's not another conference. It's the catalyst. It's where fresh data drops, revealing real insights on how modern learners are thinking, searching, and deciding right now. And here's a spoiler for higher ed leaders. Most institutions aren't keeping up. 3 days on the beach, February 17th to the 19th, 2026, in Fort Lauderdale. Over 65 powerhouse speakers, 40 sessions, zero fluff. We're talking unfiltered strategy, AI integrations, and forward thinking built for the leaders who want to disrupt before they're disrupted. So here's the question. Are you ready to lead transformation or be overtaken by it? Reserve your spot now at insightsedu.com. Early bird pricing ends December 15th. EdUp Experience have brought you powerful conversations with more than 400 college presidents and higher ed leaders, over 1,000 episodes and counting. Now, we're inviting you to join us in shaping the future of higher ed podcasting. For just $5.99 a month, you lock in that rate for life, but only if you sign up before December 31st, 2025. As a supporter, you'll get ad-free early access to episodes. Prices go up after December 31st, but your rate never will. Visit edupexperience.com. That's edupexperience.com. Click support the show and join our community today.